Hello, everyone. Welcome to Game Junk Prototype, episode 83, recording on Sunday, November 7th. My name is Frank.
My name is Sean.
And my name is Andrew.
And we're going to be talking about the Elden Ring gameplay video, a strategic alliance between Sega and Microsoft, and more Nintendo controversy. But first, let's say happy birthday to Sean Dwyer. It was his birthday yesterday. How was your birthday, Sean?
Thanks, Frank. My birthday was okay, pretty quiet, just the way I like it these days. So, no complaints.
I was playing Unpacking or maybe Call of Duty, one of the two. And I saw Sean get online playing Unpacking. I sent him a happy birthday message on Xbox, and Kieran replied. So, watching his kids play video games. What a
I was in the room, so I got the message. Thanks.
I got the gist. All right, moving on. Sean doesn't want to talk about his birthday. Fine by me. Okay.
Well, the real party's next weekend. We'll talk about that when it happens.
Right. That's right. So, Elden Ring gameplay video came out of nowhere. The game is coming out in February, I think, 2022.
Yep.
New From Software game, and partially written or influenced by George R.R. Martin. It's very unclear as to what capacity he's working on this game. It's like a Tarantino production credit on on DVD releases in the early 2000s.
Yeah, I mean, just on that real quick, they announced, that was there when they first announced the game, and I have not heard a single thing about it since. And maybe I haven't been following that closely because it
came up around E3, I think, but I mean, you might say it's a strategic alliance of sorts.
Yes, probably.
We'll see how it plays out. I don't really care because I love Sekiro because it's a more action-focused version of From Software games, and they seem to be trending in that direction. And I appreciate that more than Dark Souls and Bloodborne to some degree. But this is an extended gameplay video. I would say, if anything, the takeaway is there's much more platforming. It looks like a From Software game with platforming elements. Now, there was some of that in Sekiro. There was the grapple hook and wall climb, which were the worst parts of Sekiro, hands down. It shows that they are not necessarily great at those types of mechanics. And my takeaway from this was, one, they're still not great at it. Anything that was related to locomotion and platforming looked awful, like genuinely awful. When they set up that spring in the world to let you spring up in the air, like it looked like fucking Goat Simulator when you go on a trampoline. Like the animations were brutal. It was so unpolished. I mean, it was truly bad. I couldn't, I was embarrassed. I'm like, you're showing this? Like, ugh, this is not good. Not good. That was more embarrassing to me than one of the textures was clipping and there's rendering issues in one part of the video. The actual gameplay, I know they'll fix a clipping issue, but that gameplay looks kind of broken. So, other than that, I thought the boss fight looked cool. The gameplay is what you'd expect. The effects for the magic look great. I think this game is coming out for last gen consoles as well, or at least that was what I took away from the quality of the graphics. I don't think it's a next gen exclusive. Could be wrong. Sean's confirming this, but I would bet my life that it's coming out on PlayStation 4 and Xbox One.
Yes, it is. But yeah, I've seen some speculation on that, and they haven't been very clear about it, I don't think. But you're
Not that
right.
it's a huge deal. I still think the game looks good, but definitely didn't look next gen. Not that it's supposed to, clearly. So what did you guys think? You guys aren't really into these games. Did your needle move at all?
Go for it, Sean.
Well, I mean, yeah, I haven't played a From Software game. I've stayed very far away from all of these games because they're basically not for me. But, checked out this video, and I didn't watch the whole thing because it is pretty long, maybe longer than it needed to be. But my needle moved a little more than I thought it would. I actually thought it looked like the world looked pretty colorful, and visually, I thought for the most part, it looked quite nice. And I mentioned this to you guys. Maybe I'm completely off base. Reminded me a little bit of Ghost of Tsushima with the color and stuff, and obviously being on horseback and just how much of an open world kind of game it looks like it is.
I
So,
I don't know if felt the same way. Like I thought it looked kind of desaturated. I thought
well, it
the effects looked really colorful, but the world itself looked a little bland color wise. Like I think the actual ideas they seem very Dark Soulsy to me. I didn't get like a huge wow, this is a fantasy world rather than I mean, Dark Souls is medieval fantasy to some degree. So it felt pretty in line. I wouldn't be surprised if they're reusing assets from Dark Souls games to some degree.
well, yeah, I mean, like I'm not that familiar with the other games. I guess I always imagined and had always thought that the Souls games were very dark and desaturated, and this seemed more colorful than that, or what I thought it was. So I don't know. I mean, I guess I'm a little bit interested, but obviously it comes down to like, is this going to be punishingly difficult? Sounds like probably it will, but they've mentioned some things about their solution for making this more accessible is to give players more options, different ways to accomplish things, which maybe is something, but I don't know.
And they
It's
mentioned
kind of
that briefly. You can follow the guide trail. That was, I guess, a big takeaway that, the games are notorious for not helping you. If I think this game, they're trying to get more people into it and having more like tutorial stuff or putting you down an optimal path, which they've never done before.
right. So yeah, I mean, I'm actually kind of interested, but I guess
All
it'll be
right,
a wait and see.
bring
for
the
me.
heat.
I would say my needle did not move very much at all. I've played the original Dark Souls, and I think I played a little bit of Bloodborne, and I played like an hour of Sekiro at your house, Frank. I think that one time, and not really. I mean, I really like the feeling of Dark Souls, but the actual gameplay, I think I find it frustrating because there's just like so many like hidden death traps. I think I've compared it to Mega Man before, where like you're essentially walking down a path and there's all these like instant death traps or near instant death traps that you do not know are there. And really, it's trial and error to find them and then be able to avoid them to some extent once you've died already at them. Or I guess they kind of tried to help you by putting all those like player place notes, but then like some of the notes would be misinformation. So I would say that this game definitely reminds me of Dark Souls with a little bit of like a sprinkle of Skyrim in that the open worldness, the dragons. Seems like dragons play a big part. They had that big dragon that flew in at the beginning of the gameplay demo, and then the boss had obviously some ties to the dragon as well. And going back to George R. R. Martin, I believe his role was basically just to set up sort of like the overall world and lore of the game. And I don't think he was involved with like writing dialogue and in depth in any sort of design type stuff. I think it was merely
Definitely not
like,
just
yeah, it was merely just to basically get his name on the project to bring some hype to it. Um, it seemed I was like kind of intrigued by this demo though, or this gameplay demo video that they showed because it seemed like they were trying to show different environments, although I found them not too different. They had like the open world section and then the castles and stuff like that. And they showed a bunch of different encounter types, random NPCs you could run into, random sort of like other things you could run into. But then they had like these souls coming out of bodies that were on the ground that they always seem to ignore. So like they have all these things that obviously are to remind you of Dark Souls, but then they never actually go and pick them up. Like what are those things?
I don't know. The part where they went into a castle and it was more catacomby, that whole video to me reads like, don't worry, this is a lot like Dark Souls. I wonder like if the attach rate to Sekiro, if there was issues because it was such a drastic departure from Dark Souls. They're like, this one's closer to Dark Souls. Yeah, there's a lot of action and it's fantasy, but if you like Dark Souls, you'll love this game. And I don't know how important that is. Like, I feel like anyone who loves Dark Souls knows it's from Software and probably likes all their games. That's a lot of speculation, but that would be what I would guess. But I did get a hint of this is more like Dark Souls than Sekiro.
Well, they are pulling a lot of visual cues from Dark Souls. Like I said, the souls coming out of the bodies, that like foggy door you have to pass through to like get to the boss. Like that's straight out of Dark Souls. Like the combat, even the character is like if you didn't tell me this was Elden Ring, I would have thought this is Dark Souls. It's
The
just
combat,
so
the combat was the huge departure, right? Like those arrows. I thought it was interesting how long you would charge an attack for. Like it's not very
true.
quick. Like there's no stamina meter. I'm assuming it's going to be more like
Well, you don't know that though. There was no HUD at all.
exactly.
So you have no idea about health, but they could have removed that just for this video. So you don't know, like in Dark Souls, I feel like you die sooner. Like it seemed like the characters in this were getting hit quite a lot and by some big attacks, like visually big. And you'd think, okay, in a Dark Souls game, you'd probably be dead by now. And the guy was getting back up. So they didn't really explain what the death process is like or how, you could see him drinking the healing potions, but that didn't really give you any indication. And obviously there is going to be some sort of HUD because there was no visual representation, at least that I could see, on the character of the health. So the person obviously knew health was low because they would drink the flask or whatever of healing, but then I didn't see anything on the body that like implied to me that there was a health gauge on there. So I don't know if you were playing with no HUD at all, how you would know to ever use that item.
There will be a HUD.
Yeah.
And my prediction is instead of stamina, it's mana or some version of magic power. And that's your economy that you're manipulating. Just the way they were charging magic attacks and the variety of magic attacks would be, that's going to like a risk reward system where charging magic and versus quick attack magic is going to be what combat is all about. Just my prediction.
I guess they also showed that like summoning stuff, which I don't think was in any other Dark Souls games, was it? Like summoning in companions to help you fight?
You could, yeah.
Oh, could you? Okay. Well, never mind then. But overall, I would say not moving my needle. Looks like Dark Souls. Looks like open world Dark Souls. And I don't know if I'm really that interested in this game. I could see if you like Dark Souls that you would be really into this game, but I don't think it's going to be for me.
I love Sekiro. I'm very excited, but not more so than I was before seeing this video.
Just one other thing on the summoning thing. I don't totally remember if this is what this was, but isn't this also like a multiplayer game? Like you can play with other people? And I thought that the summoning thing was kind of like you can either have other players alongside you or like AI controlled spirits or whatever they are. I don't know if
there could be AI. Like being able to bring a friend into your game has always been a thing in these games.
Oh, it has? Okay. Didn't know that.
It's pretty optional though. And Neo 2 had a system where there was AI versions of companions you could bring in. So I'm not super surprised that they're adding that for people. Like I don't have anyone who played Sekiro. I didn't want to bring anyone into the game, but it would be nice to have the option to get some assistance at harder points in the game. So who cares? Moving on. A strategic alliance. So let's see this. Sega. This is from sega.co.jp. Sega and Microsoft to explore strategic alliance to create new strategic titles for Sega and establish the next generation development environment. I guess it doesn't...
Strategic games, maybe? I don't know.
Yeah, there's a lot of strategy involved here. This is a really poorly worded announcement. It is weird to me that it says for Sega and establish a next generation development environment. Now, is that... Who's helping who there? Is it Microsoft showing Sega how to do a next generation development environment? Vice versa? Is it a bit of both? I don't know what that headline's implying at all. Like, I would say both of them are floundering when it comes to next generation development. So I hope it's, maybe we can pool our resources and help each other out. But the thing I'm the most embarrassed about, and perhaps the history of Game Junk Prototype, is that I did not predict this or Microsoft buying Sega. They buy the most overrated, like garbage companies, and well, not garbage. Like Sega is an all-time overrated publisher. They've got a great name. Because they were so popular in the 90s, they occasionally make a great game, but it's pretty rare. And especially their internal development studios. I can't remember the last internal Sega game that was great. They might have published a few. So this feels like the perfect match. Some 7.0 and 6.0 games to add to Game Pass. It's perfect. I can't believe I didn't see this coming. I'm shocked.
Well, they haven't bought them.
Yeah, that's not, I mean, there's rumors, and there has been rumors of that for a while, but that's not necessarily what this announcement is. But of course, it makes you wonder. I'm sure the games are going to start coming to Game Pass. Maybe like the only thing that I've read here is that they're using Microsoft Azure technology, like cloud technology, for some project they're working on that won't come out till 2026. So it's like
Phantasy Star Online.
I mean, that's the obvious thing. I think a lot of people have been saying that, but yeah, I mean, like it as you know, talking about Microsoft and Sega partnering beyond this, or potentially Microsoft acquiring Sega, like it makes sense. You know, aside from Frank's comments, it makes sense because Microsoft really wants to break into the Japanese market. And
I was going to get there, Sean. I was going to get there.
So, I mean, yeah, that on that level, it kind of is maybe a smart move. I don't know, like from what I read, they're even saying like for a North American company to acquire a Japanese company is like insanely complicated and probably will never happen. But I don't know, maybe.
The alliance would form a key part of Sega's mid to long-term strategy, allowing the business to move forward with Super Game, a new initiative for developing new and innovative titles where the key focuses are global, online, community, and IP utilization. Like this is a BS. I don't know if they have stock things coming up or...
Yeah, there must have been a stock bump for this. There had to be.
6% to Sega anyways.
Like I don't know about reading that. I would be selling my Sega stock immediately.
I must say, this is great news. You know what it means. Binary Domain 2 coming. Game of the year, game of the century. Binary Domain gets a proper follow-up at the Microsoft backing, the financial backing of a powerhouse. I love it. You could just go full AAA Binary Domain 2, Trinary Domain, whatever you want to call it. I don't care. We need to make this thing happen. Game Junk listeners, tweet at Sega, tweet at Microsoft. We need this to happen.
I mean, you could just take the code for Gears of War and turn it into Binary Domain. They're almost the same game, to be honest. Like, it's just different worlds.
No.
They're very similar games. Especially Gears 4, to my recollection. The way there were certain enemies in Gears 4, I think, where you would shoot out their legs, like the robots, which I think was part of Binary Domain.
Amazing. Oh, yeah. You break their armor off. Oh,
the brief amount of
so good. I might have to play it. I might have to play it after this. So good.
I don't know. I mean, I guess it would be cool. I would like to see it more bringing in old Sega titles to Game Pass. If I know Genesis is on the Switch thing, but maybe this could be a partnership for getting all of Sega's old libraries for Game Pass. That might be the most interesting thing to me.
Yeah, I don't know. I was just having a quick look at recently published by Sega games. I mean, I see the Yakuza games are published by Sega.
I think their biggest games are strategy games for PC, would be my guess.
Yeah. I mean, maybe, I don't know. The Yakuza games are already on Game Pass, so that's kind of an interesting thing. But
I guess those are reasonably big games. Like, there's a million sequels. They have to be kind of popular.
Yeah, but I'm not seeing a whole lot else here. So I don't know. I don't know what else.
Not surprised.
Super Monkey Ball. Yeah, I don't know. Let us know out there what we're missing in terms of recent Sega output.
The last great game I can remember them publishing off the top of my head is Bayonetta and maybe Vanquish. But I mean,
Yeah,
again,
right.
that's because they're platinum games.
Yeah.
Binary Domain. We already talked about this.
I think that's fuck. I think that's like almost 10 years old at this point, maybe
Yeah,
more.
it's amazing. Should be game of the century, like I just said. Game of the century.
Are the Persona games? No, those are Atlas, right?
That's Atlas, yeah.
Are we sure? I think one of them is Sega.
I don't
think-
know, it's listed somewhere here, but I
I
don't
think
know.
Persona 5 is Sega. I could be wrong though. Oh, it's Atlas. I could have swore one of them was published by Sega, if not multiples.
Well, it says that I'm looking at the published, and it says that Shin Megami Tensei 5, which is kind of like coming out soon, I believe, if not just released. That's like Atlas and Sega, it seems to be. It says developed by Atlas, published by Sega, I guess. I don't know. This Wikipedia article is not great.
Yeah, it's a little tough to say. Anyway, it certainly wasn't a Sega ton throughout the industry.
No.
It was a dud.
Not until they actually officially acquire them. Then it's a Segaton.
We'll have a 3-hour YouTube video between the marketing people talking about how great it is. Barf. It's brutal. All right, we're moving on.
Yes.
We're going to
Yes.
turn our vitriol to Nintendo here.
Sure.
So I was not aware of the outrage about the Switch online service, the recent upgrade and expansion pack, I guess it's called, that included Nintendo 64 games and Sega Genesis games. Now, apparently it launched, and I didn't know that the actual performance of the emulators is horrible. Now, I
Apparently,
think
yeah.
the same emulator that they used for Mario 3D All-Stars for Mario 64. I haven't seen any video. I don't know how bad it is. I have not purchased it personally, but people seem to be very upset about this, to the point that Nintendo, the last headline I saw was something about they promise it will improve. They didn't apologize. They didn't issue refunds or say we're going to lower the price. It was a promise that it will get better.
Yeah, even that headline is a little misleading, I think, because it was like some sort of presentation they made to investors, and like I actually read the slide about it, and it basically just says, going forward, we will continue to improve and expand both Nintendo Switch Online and Nintendo Switch Online Plus expansion pack, striving to provide services that satisfy consumers. Has no acknowledgement that there may have been issues with the launch. Like, it's just basically like we released this thing, we're going to keep putting out stuff for it. So
Nintendo is basically telling you what I tell you all the time. Either buy it or don't. That's it. They don't care.
Yeah.
But they know everyone's going to buy it and they want to have it. So for once, people need to start voting with their wallets. Do not give Nintendo money for this. I'm going to. I don't care. I piss my money away all day. I'm going to pay for it eventually. I don't care. But if you think it's bad and you don't have money to spend on it, do not buy it.
Yeah, I mean, I read something that there was a Reddit thread. Somebody was comparing Mario 64 in the All-Stars version of the game versus this version, and they were comparing the lag times, and that there was, I mean, not a huge amount more, but definitely it was laggier on the Switch Online version.
'Cause
So
I almost did everything in the Mario 64, and I didn't notice any issues, to be honest.
right, yeah, I thought it was fine in that game. So I don't know for sure. Like, I mean, there's some other things, like, you know, they all the games are 720p, I believe, which is like,
In 20p?
well, you know, it's a big improvement from what the original N64 was, but I think that also caused some weird visual glitches and issues. Like, you know, overall it looks better, but then some things look worse, or, weird. So I don't know
Talking
if,
about a console that is 25 years old.
yeah. So I mean that
This
kind of
is
those kind of
embarrassing.
complaints. I'm not well. Like, you're saying that Nintendo can't pull it off? They can't fix it? I mean,
Well, I'm not talking about whether they can fix it or not. Could they ship it without being able to emulate a Nintendo 64?
well, yeah. I mean, it feels like it was an afterthought, as a lot of this stuff seems to be, right? Like people are like, why are they not putting more stuff out? Why are they not giving us more virtual console? It's like it's easy money for them. Should be an easy win for everyone, and yet they put it off, and then they finally do it, and it is lacking. So very Nintendo, I would say.
I guess
But
speaking to my point where it's like if you don't want it or you think it's bad, don't buy it. The thing I don't know about that is like I think Nintendo you pay annually, right? For the online service. It's not a monthly thing. So what happens if you paid for the year and you think it's garbage? Are they giving refunds? Do they like refund it or rate it down to a month? Like that's the thing that I haven't heard anything about. And if I know Nintendo, you're done once you pay for the year.
it's a good point. It looks like you can request refunds for it, but
There is no
oh no, no,
monthly
it
version.
looks like they don't offer refunds for canceling Nintendo Switch Online. So yeah, I could see that being a problem. Now, one thing we haven't talked about though is the price. I don't think we ever discussed it when they announced the price and whether we thought it was a fair price. I believe in the U.S. it's $49.99 a year,
And what was it
or
previously? 1999?
yeah, I think so. And then if you get the family plan or something, it's $79.99. So
Now, we were talking about this a bit with Jay off the record, and I agree. Like, comparatively, the $20 for the year seems like a really good deal. Getting the Super Nintendo and NES like, for $20 and online play, even though their online play is shit and their feature set is shit for matchmaking and friends and all that stuff, it's still for $20. I think that's decent. $50 for the 8 games and however many Genesis games that I've bought 100 times before and have in a million different collections. That's getting a little questionable, potentially price wise. Like I said, I don't see the value. If I didn't have the money to buy it, I would not. Like this would not be something I'd be like, I have to have. This is like, I'm looking to burn cash and I buy everything anyway. So I might as well buy this.
yeah, I mean, maybe once they add some games, maybe then it would be more worth it. And I guess that's another thing people complain about. Like Nintendo doesn't have a regular release schedule for these things, right? It's just kind of they add games when they feel like it or when they're ready. You never know what's coming. And so it's not like you're signing up and you know within the next year you're going to get X number of N64 games, right?
Yeah. I don't know. I'm going to put this out there. Strategic alliance for Nintendo Online. Sega and Nintendo 64. This is just bridging the gap to another story I want to talk about. Binary domain N64 demake.
Let's do it. I don't know if they could handle it though.
Let's
Like
make
how would you do
binary
the
domain
robots?
Hey, you got to figure it out. That's what the demake is all about.
That AI is way too advanced.
Way too advanced.
Did you see the demake for Bloodborne? The PS1 demake?
No.
Oh,
Oh,
I saw the
you
headline.
gotta check it out. It is amazing.
Yeah?
I love the idea of the demake. I don't know if there's a bunch of these, or if this is a new idea, and if it's a new idea, or there's been a bunch of these and I've never seen one before. But the concept of the demake going to a era that is such a gross visual style, like I love it. I want to see more of this stuff. I mean, it obviously reminded me of Nightmare Creatures, a game that came out on PlayStation 1 and Nintendo 64, but I think it's only the first area. It's the first 2 bosses. It's kind of like a fun project, but it is such a cool idea, and I love it.
Yeah, the only one I can think of, I remember the Halo 2600 coming out, but that's
Oh, I don't remember that.
I mean, I'm just looking now. I guess there's a few others. Dark Void Zero,
That was an
BioShock
NES Dark
Mobile.
Void. Yeah.
Yeah, a
But
few
this is
things
like
like that.
a different one where I think it's interesting to reevaluate the the start of 3D games. And I think we kind of look at those games and be like, yeah, they're really hard to play now, but there's still some cool design ideas in some of them, and I think some hold up and some don't, like Mario 64 holds up. Like taking a game that we know works now design-wise and just putting it in that aesthetic, like how do you the way we take for granted how subtly we communicate ideas with effects, vibration, audio, like everything had to be in your face back in that era. And if you didn't see it, you're like, what is going on in this game? I have no idea. So I'm really curious to try this. I want more of it. I want more D-makes.
I like it.
I mean, the PS1 thing is a bit of a trend right now, right? Like there's a few other games on Steam, either upcoming or just recently released, that are aiming for that era of gaming that they're trying to recreate. So there's a few out there.
Yeah, even Inscription has D-make vibes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Not that intense, but I do like it. All right, I had to get that in. All right, let's move on to what we played. Anything we didn't cover there? Anyone miss anything on those 3 groundbreaking news topics?
The one
No, well-
one thing I saw in a YouTube video, I think, is that they were mentioning that the like expansion pack, which I think is the extra memory, they don't emulate that in the emulator. So, and some of the games require it. Like I think they mentioned Winback requires it in order to save properly. So you actually like can't save in the game. You have to use like the save slot system or something like that. You can't save through like the interface that they provide in the game, which is so strange. Like how hard would it be to just allocate some memory and kind of like direct that flow over there? I don't know. It seems
I guess
mind-boggling.
the counter argument would be you have to use the save state system, right?
Yes, but
So there is a
why?
way to save. You just can't save the way the game wanted you to save.
Yeah, I guess so. Yeah, seems strange though.
We did forget one other thing too, which is that they don't have a way to remap controls currently. So N64 games are mapped to the Switch controller in a really strange way. I can't remember what it is. I think it's...
I thought I read you could remap, but at the system level, not per game.
Ugh.
So you could like go into
maybe.
the system settings and change your Nintendo Switch or your N64, whatever, configuration, but that would apply to all games. I thought I saw that.
You might be right, but either way, like that is a problem. Like I guess if you don't have the N64 controller that they're selling, which apparently is sold out everywhere, yeah,
Apparently
trying to
not
play,
coming back in stock until 2022, from what I saw.
yeah. So yeah,
Classic.
trying to play these games with a Switch controller is pretty brutal. And we did forget to mention also most downvoted YouTube video of all time. So people are pretty pissed.
Nintendo's finally getting it. It's finally starting
Yes.
to happen.
Yes.
Don't worry, they'll still have record sales. It
Probably.
will
Yep.
explode.
I agree. Okay, what we played. Do you want to start with Unpacking?
Sure.
Did we all play that?
No, we did not.
New on Game Pass, indie game. I beat it today. Sean, have you beaten it yet?
I have not. I haven't played it that much, but
All right, Sean,
how long did it?
you take the lead on this one. You love Unpacking.
Okay.
I've been talking the whole time.
How long did it take you to beat?
2 hours, something like that.
Oh,
It's pretty
okay.
short.
Yeah, I mean, it's just like I had actually heard about this game, like I think last year. I want to say it was on like David Jaffe's top 10 of the year list or something, because it was in early access on Steam for a while. And then, yeah, it just popped up on Game Pass, loaded it up, tried it out. And I was like, oh, this is strangely compelling. It's another one of these games that's, turning something that's a very mundane task into a game, and it is somehow like literally you are taking boxes, opening them up, taking objects out of these boxes and placing them around a room as if you've moved to a new house and you're unpacking all your belongings. And that's really all it is. I mean, it's like you can choose where you want to put things, but certain objects have to be like it'll flash red if you've left something on the floor, or if you've put like a book in the bathroom in the bathtub or something. Like, you know, it's got to be in a logical place for that object.
What if I want to read on the shitter? Can I put? I want to put my 3DS on top of the shitters. I didn't try that. I should have.
I mean, maybe some of those are possible. I'm not sure, but the one thing is like this game had this effect of like I was playing it a bit. Kieran was watching me. He's like, I want to try this. He was playing it for a bit. Maisie comes in. I want to try this. She's playing it. Alicia comes in. I want to try this. Like everybody, you know, it just had this pick up and play thing that everyone was like, this seems kind of interesting. I want to try it. And then you kind of get hooked on it.
Yeah, I'm super impressed with the amount of storytelling you can do by just placing items. Like obviously this is, you're seeing a person's life and the phases of their life, and you start to like deduce what's going on, and like things become obvious. There's like emotional things. You're like, oh, this doesn't look like a good situation. And all these things. And it's really interesting storytelling. And we talk a lot about, or I talk a lot about how much I hate storytelling in games.
Yeah.
Like this is the most interesting storytelling in a game I've seen in a long time. And it's like the best way of doing storytelling in games where it's like just visual information. I'm like, it's so effective that I can fill in the blanks of the story. It's not shitty voiceover. It's not text boxes going on forever. The narrative is embedded in the gameplay. So like, I think that's super impressive. And like you get a complete story and subtlety of story as well. Like some item that's been there forever is now gone. And you're like wondering, yeah, well, sometimes it's like, yeah, that's what happens. The same thing happened to me. I had this until I was 30 and then I threw that out. Or like certain things last with you forever and go with you wherever you move. Like your kingpin bowling pin goes to your retirement home. But like, I think that is really creative. This is some of the best one of the best storytelling ideas in games I've ever played. And the other aspect to that we have to talk about, like there should be a subgenre. How have we not invented movie and media shelf organization simulator? Part of the game is getting, you see the evolution of physical media. You see the GameCube cases, you see the Wii, then you get DVDs and you can make out some of the movie titles. Like I had the most fun with that stuff. Like I wanted to alphabetize them, but I couldn't figure out what every case was. I thought there was going to be an achievement for alphabetizing or for color coding your organization. Like there should be a media organization simulator. I kind of want to edit this.
Let's talk. Let's make this happen.
And like challenges, how fast can you organize this shelf by director, sub-sorted by year? This would be amazing. You can import your own collection and practice organizing it. Like this,
if you want to see what it looks like in different ways of organizing.
Yeah, or you import it and then you just hit a button. Like, how would my collection look like this? This is an amazing idea.
Might be a little niche, but I'm in.
I don't think so. I was so pissed when in the last place, I couldn't fit all of my DVDs and Blu-rays on the same shelf. Like I had to move shelves. Like I gave up because I just wanted to beat the game, but I'm like kind of pissing me off. But really cool idea. It's like this soothing, interesting gameplay. Like I couldn't stop. Like I kept playing it unless I really had to stop. But for the most part, I wanted to do the next room. I wanted to see what happened. So simple. Yeah. We should talk about the developer a bit too. We haven't said the developer. I'm gonna look it up.
Yeah, I was just gonna say it feels surprising there isn't a timer involved in this game. Like it feels like that would be the first instinct is, well, we got to put a timer on this to add some challenge, but it's so much better without, I think, because it is, like you said, it's kind of like one of these Zen kind of games. It's just relaxing to do, and you get very absorbed in it.
And an easy 1,000 achievement. I don't have a platinum trophy yet, but
Beautiful.
not a bad strategy. I will be buying this game on PlayStation and getting a platinum the day it comes out, if it's not out already. I might check tonight. I don't think it is on PlayStation, though. I think it's on Switch, Game Pass, and Steam right now. And developed by Witchbeam Games, which appears to be a Australian developer. But really cool, really fun. Like Sean said, could appeal to anyone, I think. Like the basic gameplay loop, very simple. I guess as a genre, you would identify it as an adventure game, like simple challenges, minor puzzle elements, and telling a narrative through the different scenes.
Yeah, I mean, that story stuff is interesting because I was just, I've played maybe 5 levels, maybe. And like, I'm just starting to get the sense of that, but it's cool to know that it kind of, there's more there.
Like in terms of story?
Yeah.
You didn't get the sense even through the first 3, like...
Well, I did. I got the sense that, yeah, this is a person's life. I just didn't, it wasn't
what
quite...
they're into. They start with like, art and some stuff when they're a kid. You see they're developing their art skills, and I just think it's amazing. It's really cool.
Yeah.
Sean's not into material things. He was just like, put this shit over here, put that shit over there.
He's the opposite. He is into material things. Like, just get it organized, get it sorted. Next room.
That's right.
Got
Logic.
the programmer optimization going
I was
on.
like, last time we moved, it was like, basically the next day I was like unpacking stuff. I was like, get this done. Let's do it. Like, I don't know that I think it's enjoyable, but it was just something I have to do. I don't like
I think they
having
nailed
everything in boxes.
everything about it. Like how, like the rate of random things in boxes. Like there's not a lot of that. It's every once in a while. It's like, oh, this is in the wrong room. It feels very genuine towards a moving experience.
Yeah, and it's like just seeing what item is next. There is some kind of loop
There's a
there.
loot box element. Yeah.
Yeah, so check it out.
The actual process of opening and closing things and moving the items is not frustrating at all either. And I can only imagine with a mouse and keyboard, it's even better.
Yeah, that's true. That would be better.
Well, I just installed it on my PC while you guys were talking about it, so I'll let you know maybe next week.
All right.
It's a cool game. All right, Huck, what's up?
So I played more of Astral Chain, but I don't really have anything more to add. But the big thing I played this week was Guardians of the Galaxy, or Marvel's Guardians of the Galaxy. And I can't remember what you guys talked about last week, so I'm just going to ramble on about some stuff I saw. But I felt like the gameplay was a little clunky, but I was surprisingly having fun with it the whole time. And I didn't really get frustrated anywhere. I really like the story so far that they're telling and their method of storytelling with, throwing the typical like Guardians of the Galaxy jokes and one-liners in every once in a while, and how they're kind of like progressing you through the story, through each area. I thought, I think Dwyer last week mentioned the music, the kind of like 80s music, really great. I found it very funny. I was laughing out loud, like at a bunch of spots. Yeah. Believe it, bud.
And I'm with you, Huck. I think it's pretty well written,
yeah,
pretty funny.
So I'm maybe a quarter of the way through, and I've been really enjoying it. And I do not like the first Guardians of the Galaxy movie. I don't even think I've seen the second one because I didn't like the first one so much. So I am not a Guardians of the Galaxy guy. I mean, the I am Groot thing in the movies, I just found super frustrating. Like, this is the stupidest character ever. But now in this, I'm actually enjoying it. I don't know if it's just I've stepped back for like 10 years or however long since that first movie came out, and I kind of gotten it now. But the other thing I found gameplay wise that I found really neat is they have subtle branching paths, and you have your four companions with you, and I found that, like they will split off into little subgroups, and the like bulk of them will go the proper path you need to go, and then you always have this one guy that kind of goes down the other route, but they don't really do anything down there. So you go and follow him, and then they don't actually show you where the secret is, but there is usually a secret near where they are. So it is kind of like a very subtle way to direct you to that area, but then not actually tell you that something's there. There's been a lot of times where I've gone off a side path, had a guy there talking to me about some other random thing, and then there's some like exploding things you can blow up to clear a new path and find some more components or whatever it is your upgrade things. So I really appreciate that subtleness that they go for, and it kind of like drags you along in interesting ways. And yeah, I'm just really enjoying it so far, and I'm definitely gonna keep playing this game. I really like it.
I didn't actually play any more this week. Not that I didn't want to, but I think you'll appreciate the visual pacing as well. The second planet you go to was getting me, like, not exactly, but Dragon Age vibes. I remember Dragon Age.
Yeah.
Like, every place had such a unique look, and it was something I hadn't seen in a game before. I feel like they've really nailed making each place look like the first one, that quarantine zone looks awesome. It's such a cool idea. The second planet is really cool looking as well. So some inventive visuals, which is kind of hard to do in games. Like almost everything's been done in games. So to have a new visual idea that stands out as like uniquely new, not that easy to do.
Yeah, at a high level, like story wise or whatever, level design wise, the two areas are pretty similar. There's kind of like a bunch of broken down ships with like a colored environment around, and that's basically what both worlds are. But I am at the part of the second world where you're about to go down that long bridge to the fortress. That's where I'm at right now. So I don't know how far.
So have you done a section with like those? It's all circular, like they're like stone lily pads almost. Is that the beginning? Okay.
Yeah, that's like the beginning of the first area or somewhere along there. Yeah, so I've done that. And there was one other thing I really like. You were speaking about the visual storytelling. I like how they switch between the third person perspective and first person perspective when they're doing certain storytelling elements where you are like Star-Lord first person and you can get the full view of the ship from Star-Lord's perspective. And I really like how they do that. And it's kind of a subtle thing, but I really like it. And the ship is small enough. It did remind me of like Fallen Order, where you have this ship with small areas and you can kind of go into each little area and talk to each person about, certain things. And there are like some funny little, dialogue quips, and you can hear the characters kind of bickering back and forth on the ship, which I found pretty funny. And I just really like that small contained area where you can kind of go and get little bits of story here and there, or even just like little character moments without necessarily needing to do them all. And it just felt like a realistic, like quote unquote realistic, like ship you can live in and, have this crew with you. And I just really like it so far. I'm really enjoying it.
All right. Cool. I will say I played a bit of the new Call of Duty Vanguard. I did the first mission in the campaign, which was okay. I mean, it's always fun to play those campaigns for a bit, but it looked decent. Like on Series X, it looked pretty good. Gameplay wasn't all that interesting to me, but multiplayer, they really haven't changed much. It's almost the same as the last game, just slightly different. Obviously, it's World War II, different look to the weapons and the levels, but I'm enjoying it. I do like Call of Duty multiplayer, and I think this one nothing's drastically broken, although the care packages are physics-based now, and they land in weird places. That needs to be fixed immediately. It's brutal. I have to wait for it to stop moving due to physics before I can open it, and it's standing right in front of me. How does this make it into a game? It's embarrassing.
Now, Is anyone else like worried? Not necessarily worried, but like to me, it feels like I don't know what Call of Duty is the current Call of Duty anymore.
I
So
think
like,
that's part of the plan. Like, I feel like they're always going to have a Black Ops, a Modern Warfare, and a World War II kind of version. Because when you
mhm.
start this one up, I mean, obviously, there's people who only play Call of Duty and they're aware of that. And they have Warzone as well. So the menu lets you switch between all four versions. If you have them installed, you you can load any one of them from the one main menu. So I think they're aware there's always going to be like, and they've always alternated, I think, in 3 year cycles, the developers for that stuff. So
Wait,
I
so
think,
you're saying when you load up like Vanguard on Xbox, if you have Black Ops installed, you can switch to Black Ops even though it's like the
I can
previous
switch.
year?
I can switch to Warzone, Black Ops, or Modern Warfare.
Oh,
The last three versions. So
that's
it's a
clever.
conscious choice to yeah, to like people who love these games and play them all the time. They're aware of that,
Yeah.
and it's
Mm.
like they're kind of recycling three different versions. Because I like me, I tend to like the World War II versions the best, and probably Modern Warfare second, and Cold War third, or Black Ops. So they're just kind of reiterating on those three with the idea that people who like those will play them for a long time. You can people who play all three, you switch back and forth between them all, and they're starting to incorporate at least at the start of seasons or new games like unlocking it in one game unlocks perks or I guess cosmetics in another one, and like aligning all three ecosystems to some degree. So
Hmm.
they're really
Wasn't
trying to
that's the
keep
thing they're
players in Call of Duty.
that's the thing they're adding in Battlefield this year, right? Where it's like you can build maps, or like you can put elements from different Battlefield games into one thing or
Yeah, we looked
something.
at that. I mean, it's not the same thing. Like, there's no map editor in Call of Duty. It's only the designed maps. The Battlefield one was a way for people to make maps similar to I think Halo's Forge,
Right, right. Yeah.
where but you can pull elements from all the Battlefield games. Not that I know that much about them, but it sounds like a cool idea.
Hmm. Yeah, I mean, it doesn't really seem like Call of Duty's doing that, but it's just interesting that they're at least cross promoting and reminding you that, hey, we've got these other Call of Duty games too. So I don't
I
know
think
if
it's
they're,
all in the spirit of like there's a lot of competition. Halo's going to be free to play to some degree. They want people to stay in the Call of Duty world as much as possible, and however they can keep that happening, they will. Although I feel like people play Call of Duty like they just keep playing it. It doesn't seem to be a franchise that is like, oh, I'm moving to this one.
yeah.
A lot of
So,
dedicated players.
have you ever been like in the quote unquote the Call of Duty ecosystem just before like a new game comes out? So like before Vanguard launched, if you were to launch any of those other games, whatever, does it like tell you Vanguard is coming out soon so you know like that is the next game coming out? So like in the ecosystem you are getting prompted that a new one's coming out and it will be slotted into like the new World War II slot?
I don't know how that worked with like a substitution. I guess this is the first time they've done it. I think the first time they actually incorporated this menu system was Modern Warfare. So they haven't gone or overlapped on a particular kind of
Mm.
skew or style for Call of Duty yet. But I know when you play it, like the multiplayer announcements, I'm sure we're telling you pre-order Vanguard and do all this
Yeah.
stuff, all these
That's
exclusive things.
Yeah, I'm actually really impressed with that. Like, I think that is a really smart way for them because you obviously do have these recurring players that will keep coming back. And obviously, the names are becoming so like unintuitive as to what is next that I think it's smart to have that. Like you said, you have the kind of like the three SKUs essentially.
Yeah.
And you kind of launch the game, and then it'll probably show you like, hey, here's the Black Ops version, and here's Warzone, and here's whatever the other one, the Modern Warfare. Even if you only have the one purchased, then at least you know kind of like what else is out there for you at that moment if you
Yeah,
want
and if
to
you only have one
partake.
purchase, the other entries are on the main menu, grayed out
Yeah,
essentially. So,
yeah,
what are
well,
you?
yeah, but I mean that's smart. It like pushes you to purchase the other ones too. Like it's Those
There's a
damn
lot of money
Activision
going
people.
into Call of Duty.
Oh yeah. Oh
A
yeah.
lot of money. So
Oh yeah.
I do think it's the best first-person shooter gameplay. Like it feels the best.
And it's just so polished. Like just so it is the definition of AAA.
They've returned, like for a while there, early PlayStation 4, you know, it was all about like these wall running things and weird boots and accelerators. They've just kind of reduced it to what people like, which is, you know, like feet on the ground, shooting, weapons. That's why people play. It's like who's the best at shooting people in this game? And then there's other there's Overwatch and lots of other types of shooters for people who want to do crazier stuff or have different game modes. And anyway, Call of Duty's basic, and that's why I like it. Anyone else have anything they played this week?
Nope.
I was just going to quickly mention Death's Door. Kind of been getting back into this. I'm like probably over halfway through the game now. It is a bit hard. I mean, I've found like there's these sections of the game where you're basically doing like rooms with waves of enemies, and I'm kind of like,
is this the treasure chest things? Like when you complete an area and you have to go in the treasure chest? I can't remember what they're called.
Yeah, so like I'm on one of those now, and I'm like, I keep dying, and I'm like, so my thought was, well, are there any upgrades? Like, should I be like looking for health upgrades? And apparently there are. I feel like they didn't really, maybe I missed it, but I was not really told like how these work or anything. No?
I just found them. Like I explore when I play games. That's what playing a game is to me. Like,
Well, I mean, it's interesting you say that. Like because I usually do that too, but like the way the levels are laid out in Death's Door, like I actually think it's kind of clever how they do it, because like when you're playing through, you know, a particular area, they don't have multiple checkpoints. They just have doors that or ladders that open up to bring you back to the main area. So you can, like, if you die, you start at the beginning, but you can shortcut through quicker to get where you were.
Definitely Dark Souls inspired or From Software inspired.
Yeah. Okay. That's pretty cool. And I like, you know, I just thought the level design for this stuff was pretty well done. But because of that, I just find that I kind of get lost in terms of, like, I know kind of where I need to go just to complete the game, to get closer to the end of the game. But I kind of get lost in terms of where have I been before and what are areas that I could go back to and explore now that I have new abilities. Like I've been missing that. So,
yeah, I'm not going to pretend like this game couldn't use a map. I think every game.
Yeah, I think that would have been nice. Yeah.
Going back to Carrion and this, I know there's a trend where games are small games are not having maps. Let's just bring maps back. Maps are great. They really help you figure out what you need to do in a game. You don't get lost. They don't have to be super detailed. Just give me a little information so I don't have to remember everything in a large area where everything looks the same.
Yeah. It's not too much to ask, I don't think.
Maps rock. We need more maps.
Well, that's something I forgot to mention. I thought the map in Elden Ring looked actually really cool.
I agree. Like sweet fucking map, dude.
Yeah, like just the kind of hand-drawn but very colorful and like almost watercolor.
What's the best looking, most functional map ever created? Not only does it work great, it's absolutely gorgeous. Anyone?
Breath of the Wild.
God, no. Horizon Zero Dawn. One of the best maps. It's like kind of 3D, but isn't slow to load or it's got perspective so you can get height elements. It is an amazing map. Amazing map. We gotta do top 5 maps.
Yeah.
And then top 10 worst maps. So I can get never mind. I was like, why? How did Control not make my top 10 overrated franchise? It's like, it's not a franchise. Otherwise, it would have been number 1.
I just remembered I played one more thing. I played NHL 22 on the Xbox Series X.
Shouldn't have went to Control.
I know, you reminded me of horrible games.
Shitty, terrible game.
And I must say, I did not even make it through a single period before I shut this game off and said, nope, I still cannot do it. I downloaded the tuner update. That was probably my first mistake because they always screw it up after the tuner updates. And it was the same game. It felt like the AI controller, other team, so much faster than any of my players. Felt like I could not pass. The one thing that frustrates me so much in this game is there's a guy beside me. I want to pass, and for some reason, my character has to pull his stick to the forehand to then pass super slow, which of course then gets stick lifted, and I cannot pass. This is an NHL hockey player. He knows how to backhand pass. Just backhand pass it away from the other player. Why is this an issue? Also, the passes are slow. If you have ever watched an NHL game, the guys rip passes. They're like shots, and the guys can receive them fine. Like, why are the passes so slow? And the fact that you have to like hold it down longer, like it's on the trigger, worst idea. Like, I don't need to like control the speed of my pass. Just rip the pass. It's so frustrating. And like just the trigger action, just that delay of it not being an instant kind of like go is so frustrating. And the game looks incredible.
Let's put it out there. I have to say it. What do we need?
More cowbell? I don't know what he's saying.
Icon
Passes map
passing.
to buttons.
There's no reason not to have icon passing in an NHL. There's
I
four
totally
other
agree.
players.
I totally agree. I don't get it either. And like, I just like, it looks incredible on the new Frostbite engine. The ice looks great. The characters look great. The lighting is incredible. Wow. But the gameplay is the same and it's still shit. And it's so frustrating that they spent all this time. Like, they took a year off and it's the exact same. And it's so frustrating. And I'm so angry. I just want a good hockey game. I just want a good one. It's so frustrating.
They didn't take a year off though, did they? I thought like.
Well, they didn't do a next gen one last year.
All right, yeah. So let me ask you, what was the last great NHL game then?
08 or 09.
Yeah, I would say something like that, like 10 years ago. Like, I feel like PS2 had some really incredible hockey games, and I can't think of anything. It was PS2, like 08, 09? I can't remember what was 08.
No,
09.
like
that was PS3?
Yeah,
Yeah,
and
probably.
Xbox, but that's where they finally really nailed everything, and it wasn't like overcomplicated. It wasn't, these charge passes, and I feel like there's too much simulation in NHL. Like, who's good and who isn't, who can pass well and who doesn't. Like, I'm not thinking about that every time someone touches the puck. I just want to play NHL and assume that the person can kind of do what I want to do. And it's just been bogged down by momentum systems and like, just make the game. Like, NHL was always fun. You've gotten away from what made it fun completely.
Yeah. I don't mind the like characters have different skills and different speeds and stuff, but I mean, there should be a base level NHL player that can pass the puck.
Yes.
And can skate and doesn't seem like their feet are in concrete. And I wasn't even playing Superstar.
Score with Doug Bodger in NHL 94.
You should be able to. Every NHL player should be able to hit the net or at least hit near the net like every time they shoot.
Unlike this where Chara winds up a slap shot from anywhere on the ice and it goes in. Like, it's so like way too skewed to play.
I played as the Leafs. I played the first game of the season. It was against the Habs. And I was down 4-0 after not even a period. And the goals they were getting were so bullshit. Like, they would literally drive the net and like do something that I could never do. Never. And then like totally deke out the goalie. Or like they're against the boards and they make these blind no-look backhand passes that I cannot do. Like, you as a player cannot do these moves that the AI is doing. It is impossible. And like, there's other things that frustrate me. Like, if I'm turning a certain direction, I want like the puck to be away like, so if you're coming down and I'm holding up to like stop and turn away, I want my player to turn with the puck away from the player that's nearest me, right? I don't want to turn into the guy. That should be something like that the code knows to do. You want to go away from the player to protect the puck. That never happens. You always curl. Well, you don't always curl, but it seems random. And it's just like something, there should be some assistance to the player, because obviously we do not have as much control with the controller that an AI character with all the information has. And it's so frustrating just because you have to almost play this game on rookie to have fun now. And that's like, and then your guys are so much faster than the other team that it's not fun either. And I don't know. There needs to be like a massive overhaul of EA's NHL game, or someone else needs to come in and make a competent NHL game, but I don't know if anyone will. It's sad. I'm sad.
You got to do it, bud.
Yeah, I don't have that kind of animation budget to match EA.
Super Blood Hockey? Is that the only other hockey game out there these days?
I'll think about it. Got a lot of plates I'm spinning right now. I don't need to add another one.
Done like Slapshot, like the Slapshot League.
Just like mutant hockey kind of thing.
Yeah.
Well, that's what I thought Super Blood Hockey was supposed to be, but
yeah. You know what we need? We need a remake of Wayne Gretzky's 3D hockey.
Fucking right, dude.
That's what we need.
I'd even take NHL hits back for a bit or something. Because the
Those are
free
fun
for all
games.
modes in NHL are kind of fun, but I don't think
Yeah.
that's good. Either of the games we mentioned. All right, we're done. We are done. I'm wrapping it up. I thought it was going to be a short show. It never is. Always the same. So check us out on youtube.com/GameJunk. Discord links are there. On Twitter, Huck is My Angry Commute and Equilibrium Sis. Sean is Film Junk. Let's hope something's popping for next week. I guess Forza Horizon comes out on Tuesday. I'll probably be playing that.
There is something. I thought there was some kind of press event or something. I can't remember what it was, though.
Could be, but there's some big stuff coming out. So we'll be talking about that and other huge announcements in the video game industry. Until next time. Thanks for listening.